Hello. This is our postmortem for our game Grimm's Reaper that we've been working on for the Game Dev TV Game Jam 2022 project. I am the Samurai Who and
This is Bargon, Spaceman. Yeah, making
Bargon
games.
Spaceman.
Yeah,
Yeah.
making games. Yeah.
So, what did we work on? What did we want to accomplish? So, for this project, we wanted to work on a boomer shooter because we thought it would be simpler. So it's a 10-day project window, and we spent 3 days planning out the game. Spent about total of about 20 hours total man hours working on the game. Would you say that, Margaret?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
Yeah, about 20 hours total, split between both of us. Um, we thought of making a variety of games, but we ended up doing a shooter because we thought it'd be a lot simpler, more manageable. That we will discuss that in a bit. Some of our goals were to set up basic AI and shooting mechanics, have a narrative story, have multiple enemy types, design levels, implement a narrative video into the game in the opening, and learn new tools. So for me, I for me I was still unfamiliar with Unity, so I've made some example tutorial projects, but outside of that, didn't really know how the game engine worked. But and for Blender, I mostly do modeling, so no texturing. What about for you, Bargan?
I've never used any of these tools, so it was the first time, learning these new tools. It was interesting. Uh, yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, and we both learned a lot in a very short amount of time. Hopefully, we can apply it to the next project. So, do you want to talk about what's going on this screen?
Oh yeah, so this is basically the art assets that I've created. Uh, so what was it? Yeah, this is basically all the art assets put onto one screen. You can't see the boss right here, but that's fine. And yeah, this is the art side that I was working on, making like capsules for the main characters and then cylinders for the enemy types. And then let's go to the next one.
So, yeah, there were a couple of. We were planning on having multiple weapons for the character, the main character, as well. In the top left corner, you can see the Blender screenshot. We made some really low poly uh, models for the weapons. We only ended up using the rifle, which is the second from the left. And as you can see in the bottom right window, that's the gold gun. And that was just essentially the interface. We had one obstacle, which is the orange block. And this is an earlier screenshot, so a little bit has changed. But essentially, it's a straight up shooter, no sprinting, no anything like that. And that's basically what we were looking at for a couple of days. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so what did we accomplish? We created art assets and imported into Unity and prototype of the game as you saw previously. Create a basic level design sheet, which I worked on. You'll see it later in the slide. Rough storyboard for narrative video, which we will see in a little bit. And let's see, mechanics that we got completed. So the shooting, player controller, moving and jumping, AI targeting and movement, and the tutorials that you referenced, right, Brandon?
Yeah, so I referenced tutorials from Bracky's Game Dev TV
Yeah.
and some old Unity tutorials. So
All right, let's go to the next slide. So this is the narrative part. So basically, we needed to put it. What was it? It begins. Was it? What's the
death
theme?
is
It was.
only the beginning, I believe.
Death is the only beginning. So this is basically gives a little bit of context to the characters, having a nice dinner, and then they both get shot by in the was it in that window, which is Grimm, and then our main character wakes up in Purgatory to fight Grimm. And then on to the next slide. These are the characters' textures, right?
Mm-hmm.
Image textures. So on the right, we got the main character. On the left, we have the husband, which is based off of Snake from Metal Gear.
Yeah, with some Nick Fury.
Yeah, Nick Fury. And yeah. And then next one, got enemy types. So this is where there's a bit of issues with the unwrapping, but we'll go over that later. Um, but yeah, so top right we got an imp sniper guy, which is supposed to be snipey. Bottom right is like a skeleton Rambo character, which was going to be called Tanky. In the center here we have Grimm, our main character, our groovy character, which is our main boss. Top left is Shooty, a mafia skelly boy. And then on the bottom left is Stabby, basically Jim Carrey, Ace Ventura character.
Yep.
And then on the next slide, our level design. So initially, I wanted to, how I laid it out was character starts, the walls, and then on the first room, we got shooties. Uh, to introduce like basic mechanics to the player, there's going to be projectile characters. And then the next following areas where there's a little maze area, there's where the stabbies are supposed to be, introducing the character to like a little bit close quarters, being a little bit careful about approaching the enemy. And then what was it, snipies, which are the imps. And then tanky, which, you know, I don't think we had anything specific for
I
the
think they had
tankies
the
other.
machine guns.
Oh, minigun, yeah, the minigun type characters, and then the next room was gonna be a combination of the projectile characters, and at the end we got the boss room with the stabbies.
Mm-hmm.
And then moving on,
Yeah, and moving on, what did we not accomplish and why? So, we didn't. The game is not feature complete. There are many bugs, some interesting bugs, many of which are rather game breaking, but provide a interesting experience if you're into that. We it's and those are bugs result from not understanding some of the methods used in some of the uh, calls in Unity, as well as not doing any testing. There was no code testing whatsoever, unfortunately. We didn't accomplish building the level because we had to fix some bugs, and we ran out of time to build the level itself. So for the narrative story, we wanted to provide the core feature, core abide by the core theme of the jam, and the only way we could really think of doing that is to attach a narrative story to it to give the character purpose and provide that death is only the beginning, where the main character dying was impetus, the
Yeah.
reason,
So, yeah, the reason. Yeah.
the reason for them trying to fight Grimm and trying to kill his minions to get that there.
Goons. It's
Them
goons.
goons, them thugs.
Goon squad. Yeah.
Yeah, and we didn't get a chance to implement video into the game because we didn't have a video completed, and we didn't have experience doing it, so we didn't have time, and we didn't have time to research for those solutions. So that's why we didn't do a like quote unquote cinematic introduction to give the game purpose. There were some mechanics we didn't get to as well. So with a gunplay, we wanted to have multiple weapon types. So shotgun, machine gun. We wanted to have it so that the player had the same weapon as the AI. However, we didn't get to that because since we didn't get to multiple weapon types, we didn't get to switching guns. We wanted to add reloading because we wanted to give the players pause, but we wanted to have the players have infinite ammo. We didn't get to that part either because we were still fixing some of the bugs with the gun itself. There were some issues with it colliding with objects and some destruction issues when the bullets or projectiles or hit markers were supposed to stop, and some issues with raycasts. We wanted to use multiple AI types, so you saw multiple materials and textures, but we weren't able to create those distinct types that we had in mind. So we wanted Shy to have a shotgun. We wanted Snipey to have a sniper rifle, so like a rifle with a scope. Um, we wanted Stabby to have spears, and we wanted Tanky to have that minigun, and the boss to have a combination of those attacks and those weapons. And we wanted to implement the boss battle itself, but we didn't get an opportunity to. We wanted to also abide by the level design, but that turned out to be more difficult, especially when we started running out of time. And of course, constructing the boss arena for the boss battle to take place in. And most of these come down to inexperience and also trying to come up with solutions at the when they come up, um, like and overestimating and underestimating certain difficulties or obstacles. So lots of not enough time, not enough understanding, and so that caused a compounding effect. There were too many features that we wanted to set up.
Yeah. So, do you want me to go over the slide?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So, what could we do better next time, and how? So, a bit of time management. And understanding the tools. Yeah, we should have spent a little bit more time looking at tutorials and software. But given the amount of time, I still feel that it was a reasonable that what we got completed. But I had difficulties creating textures that unwrapped consistently, which made it more difficult to import into Unity, and understanding the scope of the game. So we, with very little experience making games, we should have lowered the scope of the game by not adding too many features, keeping it very basic, cutting out features which at the end we still had to do, but doing it early instead of thinking about it uh, ahead of time may have allowed us to add more features. And yeah, and yeah, have creating more games in practice will make you get better at making games.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Yeah.
next slide. Let's see.
Yeah. I wanted to touch on that last point because
Oh yeah, go for it.
we this is our first game project that we developed together on. We did a similar project with a bigger team several years ago. So that experience was on a different engine, a different group of people, and different experts. And we were by no means experts at that time, and we still aren't. But we're now doing it on our own, trying to learn more. So that's why it's this is a rough one, but we're trying to figure it out. But yeah, so did you want to discuss your overall experience?
Yeah, I think I had fun learning the tools. It is a lot stranger than what I usually do because I'm not used to creating textures for 3D models. Most of my experience is doing illustration and creating like ideas for the characters. And I was also inexperienced with making like narrative storytelling and level design. So it was fun to experience all those things and learn as we went along. It's pretty fun. Made a lot of mistakes. Some of the things I wish I could do better, but given the limited experience I had, I felt like I did my best, and it was fun.
Yeah, I think that the experience has taught me a lot, and I enjoyed working with you. Definitely, whenever you had a question about Blender that I didn't know, it was fun trying to figure it out.
Yeah,
Um, and most of the time in the code, I was trying to figure out why this worked, translating the different versions of Unity, and I think that it's even though I got very frustrated. I mean, I got really frustrated at some points. Uh, I think we worked well together for this project. I know several of the previous projects were much harder. This one was much harder because of the project itself, not people. So allow having that collaborative feel this time around is very good, and I think that we should be better on the next game. And I think even though the journey was rough, especially when it got near the deadline, I think that sometimes accepting that it's not going to be perfect and you just have to submit what you have is sometimes the only option and sometimes the best option. So I really enjoyed this process with you.
yeah, it's fun. It's very fun.
Yeah, and you can check out the game on itch.io. Just search the Samurai Who or Bargon Spaceman, or I guess the game would be Grimm's Reaper. Um, but yeah, I lots to look forward to, and this is part of our Atomic Red J group. So please check us out and let us know what we can improve on. You know, and you got any last words, Morgan?
Was it try out the game, see how it is. Hopefully, you have fun. It's unfinished and probably broken, but it's there. If you don't
Yeah.
want to try it, try it. If you don't, it's all right with us.
Yeah, you might have to alt tab to close it. There's no like menu system.
Yeah,
But yeah, thanks for listening to us. This is more of a time capsule, so hopefully we can look back on it and laugh at
yeah.
ourselves and yeah, have a good one, folks.
All right, bye bye.